Hello, I'm Infamous Fear. What's that? It's time for Infamous Queer!
Pride, 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 darling, darling, pride, pride 95!
Ah, the X-Gay movement. Never before has something so horrible been so easy to laugh at. To recap quickly, X-Gay is a generally Christian movement based upon the idea that LGBT identities are a choice and sinful, and one can and should become heterosexual. Strangely, as an LGBT reviewer, I'm fairly confident in saying that X-Gay is a crock of complete crap. However, it sure has inspired some interesting forms of creative expression. There have been several films about the X-Gay movement, but that's not what we're going to be looking at today. No, today we're going to be looking at a children's book. Brace yourselves, viewers, for this is Alfie's Home. Alfie's Home is a delightful little children's book written by ex-gay practitioner Richard Cohen. Since I don't actually want to give him any money for his hateful crusade, I haven't actually purchased a copy of the book. Instead, my review will be based on scans. There are a few pages missing, so I filled in those gaps with illustrations of my own. So with that out of the way, let's begin the book! On the first page, we see a family standing a kilometre in front of a house, in a delightful place I will dub Pastel Greenland. Our main character, presumably Alfie, informs us that everybody thinks we're really happy, but I am not. Well, no wonder, since you appear to live not in a house, but in a strange underground lair with no furnishings. Alfie's sister is currently engaged in throwing around sheets of cellophane, while Alfie's brother yells about the wizard's shoe currently superglued to his finger. But oh no, that's not the real reason why Alfie is unhappy at home. My dad is always working, and when he's at home, he screams a lot. That really hurts me. Alfie's mother can't do anything about this, except stand there pigeon-toed with her hands superglued to her face. It appears that they also live in the Garfield house, because the walls have switched colours with the floor. Wait a minute, could it be that the gravity has changed and now they're actually standing on the wall? Holy shit! Truly, Alfie lives in a horrible, horrible world. Mum cries sometimes because she doesn't know what to do. Then she holds me, telling me about her unhappiness and problems. It makes me feel very uncomfortable and strange. Clearly Alfie's mother is deeply unhappy about the fact that for furniture they only have one chair and a sideboard full of VHS tapes 50 metres away. Oh wait, I forgot about that vase, containing 3 eyelashes. Anyway, let's move on. Next page. Alfie sits 100 metres away from the strange yellow house which he doesn't actually live in, which has a pube coming out of the chimney, and laments that his father doesn't spend time with him. Well, except for the fact that he does. He's just yelling when he does it. Whatever. Next page. Here we get introduced to Uncle Pete, whose hand is reaching from his hideously malformed torso to embrace little Alfie as they hover above a nebulous blue bed. He lives with us every now and again. He is really kind to me, holding me, listening to me, and making me feel loved. So the reader turns their tender eyes to the next page to find out exactly what kind of love Uncle Pete is giving Alfie, and is confronted with something that should never be seen in a children's book. Ever. One night, when he was holding me, he started touching my private parts. Over time, he taught me to touch and play with his. It felt strange, scary, and a little good too. He told me it was okay, that this means he really loves me. This went on for several months. He told me, "This is our special secret." Jesus! I mean, Jesus Christ! What the hell am I supposed to say about this except, wait a minute? While Uncle Pete has been busy molesting Alfie, the hovering bed has raised up another metre so it's now next to the baseball pitcher. What fresh hell is this? On the next page we find out that Alfie now has Uncle Pete's magical hover abilities as he sits in thin air in the doorway, listening to his mother and father 50 metres away. Mum and Dad would fight. I thought they didn't love me. Maybe they fought because of me. Wrong, Alfie! Clearly they're fighting because your mother keeps getting horrible leg wounds from sharing a bed with a man with such jagged kneecaps. However, despite the magical hovering abilities, Alfie's life isn't getting any easier.
When I became a teenager, I started feeling really different from the other guys. Some of them called me names like sissy, faggot, queer, homo. I didn't know what they meant.
I hate to do this to you, but there's just so much wrong with this page and I'm going to have to go through it step by step. I'll accept that the guys are all just floating torsos with no legs, but why is Alfie outlined only in white? Is this some kind of magical gay aura that the other guys can see? How the hell does Alfie not know what the homophobic slurs mean? Surely he'd at least have the concept that sissy means girly. Maybe he never left his horrible underground cave until high school.
Then a friend told me that that means you are gay. That means you like boys more than girls. It was true, I was confused. I did have strong feelings for other guys. This had been growing inside of me for years, but I had never told anyone about it before. After a while, I went to a counsellor for help and advice. I told him my story and that I thought I was gay.
Poor Alfie's legs seem to have been absorbed by the council's man-eating desk. Oh, and by the way, that's not how you spell a while. But no worry, Mr. Sharp-Kneecap Counsellor has an explanation by means of a convenient chart.
He said I wasn't gay. I just missed my dad's love and was taught wrong things by my uncle.
Ah, we knew it was coming. We knew it was coming, and yet when it came, it was still like a punch in the face. Hey, Mr. Counsellor, how the hell do you know that Alfie isn't gay? I've already told you, fresh-faced viewers, that one of the worst things that can happen when you come out is for someone to straight-out contradict you, as if they know what's going on in your head better than you do. Thanks, Mr. Counsellor, you jerk! And why the hell does the counsellor just happen to have a chart of a man who consists of only a floating torso and unattached legs, trying desperately to hold his body together with the use of a child jammed into his crotch? That's not a father's love, that's an abomination! Wait a second, I think I've seen something like this before. So a father's love is letting your bloated child fuse to your crotch and feed off your blood? But oh wait, the counsellor has more charts to show us.
He said it was very bad what my uncle did to me. He should never have touched my private parts or have me play with his. The counsellor says it wasn't my fault, that my uncle took advantage of my need for Dad's love.
Well, finally, the book actually says something accurate, although the chart's still pretty crap. Whatever.
He explained that because I didn't experience affection with my father, that now I was looking for closeness with other boys, to fill the need for my dad's love.
Truly insightful, despite the fact that most LGBT people I know have pretty good relationships with their parents, and most straight guys have pretty good relationships with their mothers, and this doesn't fucking make any sense! Oh, and when Alfie, or maybe the counsellor, imagines the thought bubbles, how come the people are sitting in thin air? Is this guy's mind a Photoshop disaster? We then pan back, and for some reason, even though Alfie's knee was embedded in the counsellor's desk last time we saw the two of them, they're now about 500 metres away in a giant pastel-coloured warehouse. The chair and the counsellor's pants have also changed colour. Apparently this is reassuring, because Alfie goes on to say,
I felt so relieved. He said he would talk to my parents and help them understand. He said he would also contact Uncle Pete and make sure he got help.
Nice work, counsellor. Or you could, call the police! There is such a thing called mandatory reporting, which means that when someone confesses that someone has molested them, the counsellor is legally required to report the abuser to the police. It's a thing! On the next page, we see that the horrible underground warehouse has gained a new piece of furniture.
The counsellor explained to my mum and dad about my struggle and need for Dad's love. He told them of my confusion about being gay. He told Dad that I needed his time, touch, and talk.
I am particularly fond of the ominous capitals here, as the counsellor instructs Alfie's dad to molest him? It's Uncle Pete all over again! Oh no, the curse is spreading! Alfie's dad already has a lavender-coloured jumper! It's too late!
After that, my dad took me out, just he and I. He started crying. I never saw him cry before. He said he was sorry that he didn't spend more time with me, sorry he didn't hold me, sorry that he didn't share with me more.
I've shared with Alec. And what? Everything.
I cried and cried as Dad held me in his arms.
Okay, let's pull back from this for a minute. How old is Alfie here? Is he 8, 10, 12, 15? And for that matter, how old is the intended audience for this book? It's drawn and written in a simplified style which looks as if it's aimed at 6-year-olds, but it includes homophobic slurs, Alfie being a teenager, and depictions of molestation. I think there's only one answer to this question, and that's that there's a heck of a lot wrong with Richard Cohen.
We believe that nobody's born this way. You keep saying we think people choose to be gay. We do not believe that. I believe that psychologically there are many causes to this phenomena, which means change is possible.
I told him how much I always wanted his love, just wanted to be close to him.
Touching, but whatever. Let's move on.
I told him how much he hurt me when he fought with Mum, and how I felt so bad when she came to me for comfort with her problems. As time went on, Dad and I grew closer. He took me fishing, played ball with me, and sometimes we went camping.
Camping, huh? Ah, yes, camping. The most heterosexual of hobbies. Also, what the fuck is ball? I've always wondered this. Is ball what they were playing in the room?
It was really great. I felt so much better, like he really loved me. Mum and Dad went to a counsellor who helped them love each other more. They even stopped fighting. Well, at least most of the time.
They probably stopped fighting because they no longer have the energy, seeing as they're now suffering from niacin deficiency resulting from their diet of pure corn mush. Dad's tie is now pink, meaning that the Pete gene is wearing off on him, and he's now basically Mum's gay best friend. The next page, we see the counsellor frog marching poor Alfie to a meeting with the still hovering Uncle Pete. Seriously, how hard is it to draw someone actually sitting on a chair? But Uncle Pete's hovering ass is not the worst thing about this page. Oh no! Let's look at the text.
My counsellor and I met with Uncle Pete. I told him how much he hurt me. He cried and asked me to forgive him. That helped me a lot.
So that's it? Not gonna call the police on Uncle Pete? Oh yes, I can just hear him, popping a squat in mid-air, looking downward so they won't see the teardrop tattoo you got in prison for being a nonce, saying, "Oh yes, I won't do it again." Big news for you, Richard Cohen. Pedophiles re-offend. If Uncle Pete isn't going to molest Alfie anymore, it's because Alfie has gotten too old and Pete's turned his eyes towards some fresh boys. Wait a minute, didn't Alfie have a brother and sister? What the hell happened to them?
Now I realise I'm not gay.
How? Let's ignore that bit of infinite stupidity for the time being. Just look at the Mobius strip that Dad is making with his legs there. That's got to be anatomically impossible. Let's see. If we just remove the chair, we should see this.
Ah! Spending time with my dad really healed my heart. All I needed was his time, touch and talk. Finally, I am happy at home.
Ah yes, happy at home, sitting there in his giant living room with his malformed dad and his mother 50 metres away wearing an apron and holding onto an oversized lobster claw. At least they got some new furniture. Sadly, this is the last image of the book that I actually have, so let's take guesses on what happens next. Alfie's dad mutates into the horrible alien he was all along. Alfie becomes the world's youngest Conservative Party member. The artist was taken out the back and shot. Uncle Pete molests 5 more children and when confronted about it, cries a bit more. So they let him off. Repeat until the end of time because Uncle Pete is the evil hovering embodiment of Satan and can't die. Unfortunately, that's not what really happened. Using amazing forensic techniques, I will now recreate the end of Alfie's home.
Now I'm seeing Nancy. She really loves me and I love her too.
Excuse me while I throw up. It's an appropriate name for the bride too, considering that Alfie was probably called Nancy more than 1 or 2 times.
We are getting married. It's exciting!
3 exclamation marks used there. This may not be the original illustrations, but it's certainly the original text.
Now we have 2 beautiful children, a boy named Jared and a girl named Jennifer. We love them a lot.
So Alfie wants to call all of his kids' names starting with J. Holy shit, I just realised something horrible. He grew up to be Jim Bob Duggar!
Jan and John, Jill, Jessa, Ginger, Joseph, Josiah. Then we have Joyanna and Jedediah and Jeremiah, another set of twins. And then Jason, James, Justin, Jackson, Johanna, Jennifer, and here's Jordan, and John's holding Josie.
I play with both my kids. We share a lot, spend time together, and touch in good ways.
You might want to rephrase that. In the original picture, a huge flaming sun was blazing its way from the corner of the page, intent on incinerating them all. However, I do not have the extreme talents of the original illustrator, so you'll just have to imagine it.
Nancy and I love each other, and we love our children very much. Alfie's home is very happy.
Well, I'm glad his home is happy, although I'm not sure we can say so for Alfie himself. In the original illustration, this entire page was hot pink and filled with pink rays, so, symbolism? Unfortunately, after the book finished, Alfie became depressed, drank a lot, and then went cruising. His wife became addicted to daytime television, and the children? Well, they probably vanished off the face of the earth, much like Alfie's never again mentioned brother and sister. Critics called it an epic, gripping tale, soon to be immortalised in Alfie's Home, the major motion picture.
Uncle Stephen, what are you doing to me?
This book is a completely and utterly loathsome piece of crap. I shouldn't need to tell you that, but I will anyway. Being molested does not make you gay. Being gay does not mean you were molested. If a child is in any way sexually abused, the appropriate response is alerting the authorities, not accepting the lame, half-assed apology from the person who did it. There is just so much wrong with this book, and who the hell is it aimed at? It's completely inappropriate for young children, people who have been molested, and gay people. If you're young and struggling with your sexuality, well, if you were molested, you're going to think the molester will get away with it. And if you weren't molested, the book doesn't make sense. Since you're LGBT and nothing ever happened in your childhood to cause it. Providing this book to people who are old enough to understand it is patronising, and providing it to people who are young enough for the illustration and writing style is disturbing. This book is for no one, except maybe Richard Cohen, who has a very warped idea of his potentially tragic childhood. I've got a tip for you, Richard. You'll be a lot happier if you stop hoping your sexuality will just go away. Just for fun, I'll give you a taste of some of the accolades this book has received.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. You're a true champion of those who've had the pain of homosexuality thrust upon them.
Here's a handy tip to reduce the pain of having homosexuality thrust upon you. You might want to try using lube next time. Well, that was Alfie's Home, and if you'll excuse me, I've got to go. I think I'm going to be washing my hands and my brain for a very long time.